As we build from Section 2, where we explored Firewise communities, real-world data, and prevention strategies, we now move into the core science behind wildfires. This section is critical because it explains why wildfires occur, how they spread, and what factors increase or decrease their intensity. Understanding these elements allows you, as a real estate professional, to better advise clients, identify risks, and connect environmental conditions to real-world property impacts. The 4 core elements of wildfire behavior. Wildfires do not occur randomly. They are driven by 4 primary elements: fuel, weather, topography, and human activity. Each of these elements interacts with the others, creating conditions that can either limit or accelerate fire behavior. In Arizona, these factors are especially important due to the state's diverse geography, ranging from desert landscapes to dense forested mountain regions. This diversity creates unique wildfire risks depending on location, property type, and environmental conditions. Fuel. The foundation of every wildfire fuel is any material that can burn. In Arizona, this includes both live and dead vegetation, and the condition of that fuel plays a major role in wildfire behavior. Live vegetation includes trees, shrubs, and grasses that still contain moisture. While these fuels are generally less flammable, prolonged drought conditions, common in Arizona, can dry out even living plants, turning them into active fire hazards. For example, ponderosa pine forests in northern Arizona or desert vegetation like mesquite and palo verde can become highly flammable during extended dry periods. Dead vegetation, however, presents the greatest risk. This includes dry grasses, fallen trees, leaf litter, and woody debris. These materials ignite quickly and allow fires to spread rapidly. In Arizona, invasive grasses like cheatgrass and bufflegrass are particularly dangerous because they dry out quickly and create continuous fuel beds that carry fire across large areas. For example, the 2011 Wallow Fire demonstrated how accumulated dead fuel in forested areas can lead to massive, fast-moving wildfires. When buyers are purchasing properties in areas with heavy vegetation or forest density, this becomes a key discussion point tied directly to risk and insurability. Fuel also determines how a fire behaves. Fine fuels like grass increase the rate of spread, while larger fuels like logs increase intensity and duration. This is why properties surrounded by unmanaged vegetation are at significantly higher risk. Weather. The accelerator of fire risk. Weather is one of the most dynamic and uncontrollable factors influencing wildfire behavior. In Arizona, 3 primary weather conditions drive fire activity: dry conditions, high temperatures, and wind. Dry conditions reduce moisture in vegetation, making it easier for fires to ignite and spread. During drought periods, even a small spark, whether from lightning or human activity, can start a wildfire. High temperatures further intensify this risk. Arizona regularly experiences temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Celsius, especially in desert regions. These extreme temperatures dry out vegetation and lower the ignition point of fuels, allowing fires to start more easily and burn more intensely. Wind is perhaps the most dangerous factor. Strong winds can carry embers long distances, spreading fires rapidly and unpredictably. Wind-driven fires can jump roads, structures, and natural barriers. In Arizona, monsoon outflows and regional wind patterns can dramatically shift fire direction, making containment efforts extremely difficult. A powerful example is monsoon lightning events, where storms produce lightning without significant rainfall. These dry thunderstorms frequently ignite fires in remote areas, which can then spread quickly due to wind and dry fuels. For real estate professionals, weather conditions are not just environmental. They directly impact timing, property risk, and even the ability to close a transaction if a fire event occurs nearby. Topography. How the land shapes the fire. Topography refers to the physical features of the land, including slopes, elevation, and terrain. In Arizona, topography plays a major role in how wildfires spread. Slope is one of the most important factors. Fires move faster uphill because heat rises and preheats the vegetation above the fire. This means that homes located on or above slopes are often at greater risk than those on flat terrain. Aspect, or the direction a slope faces, also affects fire behavior. South-facing slopes receive more sunlight and tend to be drier, making them more susceptible to ignition. North-facing slopes retain more moisture and may burn less aggressively. Canyons and valleys create additional risk by channeling wind and trapping heat. These natural features can act like chimneys, accelerating fire spread and increasing intensity. In areas like the Mogollon Rim or the Grand Canyon region, this effect can significantly influence wildfire behavior. For example, a home located at the top of a canyon or on a steep hillside in northern Arizona may face increased wildfire exposure compared to a similar home on flat desert land. These are critical considerations when advising buyers and evaluating property risk. The human element, the most controllable factor. While fuel, weather, and topography are natural factors, the human element is the most controllable and the most significant contributor to wildfires. Human activity is responsible for the majority of wildfires in Arizona. This includes sparks from equipment, power lines, discarded cigarettes, campfires, and vehicle-related incidents. As we discussed in the previous section, approximately 9 out of 10 wildfires are human-caused. Urban expansion into wildland areas, known as the wildland-urban interface, has increased wildfire risk. As cities like Phoenix and Tucson continue to grow outward, more homes are being built in fire-prone areas. This increases the likelihood of human-caused ignitions and exposes more properties to wildfire danger. Landscaping practices also play a major role. Poor vegetation management, such as overgrown shrubs or trees near structures, creates fuel pathways that allow fires to spread directly to homes. On the other hand, proper defensible space and fire-resistant materials can significantly reduce damage. Another important factor is historical fire suppression. While suppression efforts are necessary to protect life and property, they have also led to the buildup of fuel over time. This results in larger, more intense fires when they do occur. For example, forests in northern Arizona that have experienced decades of fire suppression often contain dense undergrowth and deadwood, increasing the severity of modern wildfires. Real estate application, connecting science to the transaction. Understanding wildfire behavior is not just academic. It directly impacts your role in a real estate transaction. For example, when listing a property in a heavily vegetated area, you should evaluate fuel conditions, slope, and surrounding terrain. A property located on a steep hillside with dense vegetation and exposure to wind patterns presents a very different risk profile than a flat, cleared suburban lot. For buyers, this knowledge helps guide smarter decisions. A buyer purchasing in a high-risk area may need to budget for mitigation improvements, higher insurance costs, or ongoing maintenance to reduce fuel loads. This ties directly into your duties under AAC R428-1101, Exercise of Reasonable Care, and ARS, Paragraph 32-2153, Misrepresentation and Failure to Disclose Material Facts. If wildfire risk is known or reasonably observable, it may become a material factor in the transaction. This is where your expertise becomes your value. You are not expected to be a fire scientist, but you are expected to recognize risk indicators and guide your clients appropriately. Transition to next section, from understanding to disclosure. Now that we understand what drives wildfire behavior, fuel, weather, topography, and human activity, we are ready to take the next step. In the following section, we will connect these environmental risks directly to disclosure requirements, contract language, and legal obligations in Arizona real estate transactions. This is where knowledge turns into compliance. Online discussion. Why is dead vegetation considered more dangerous than live vegetation in wildfire behavior? Answer: because it has little to no moisture, ignites quickly, and allows fires to spread rapidly across large areas. How does topography increase wildfire risk for certain properties? Answer: slopes, canyons, and elevation changes can accelerate fire spread, increase intensity, and expose certain properties, especially uphill or canyon-located homes, to greater risk. Why is the human element considered the most important factor in wildfire prevention? Answer: because most wildfires are caused by human activity, meaning behavior changes and prevention efforts can significantly reduce wildfire occurrence.